Hello and welcome, Essex County College family. This is the Virtual Cafe powered by Student Life and Activities. Today's episode, number 102, is our SGA Spring Update for 2024. This team has been through a lot this semester, and they have a lot of accomplishments and things to show for it, and they are here today to tell you all about it. So without any further ado, I am going to give you SGA Student Government Association President Mark Anafawoshi, and he is going to take you through it.
Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Mark Anifoloshe. I'm the current president of the SGA. Um, I'm going to be going through some of the accomplishments that we did as student government. Um, I think most of them are not publicly known, but we're just going to go through them in this meeting. And then we're going to switch over to the slides from the student forum, just so you guys can understand how to be a part of the SGA for the next term. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about what we did for the month of January. Um, so we kind of like underwent a few changes as officers in the SGA before the January semester started, and we had to take a break just to be able to restructure a few things. We switched a few senators, and we, I think Gus became the vice president, and everyone kind of moved up from there. We also tried to get amendments for a constitution. We haven't uploaded it yet, but I already have a copy of an amendment um, that we can make to the constitution. Um, for the second meeting that we had within Kirkland, I think that was for January 16th. That was after our break from as SGA. We had a meeting to talk about the tuition increase and student activity fee increase. So we looked through the percentages. I think it was like 3.8% increase. I'm not sure of the specific number, but I think that will be implemented next year. We also had a forum discussing some of this tuition increase and kind of what goes into why the tuition was going up. There were concerns about the um, international student paying more for tuition, and we haven't done anything about that yet. But hopefully, they can be compromises later on, like scholarships for international students, so that way they kind of ease the burden for, the burden on them paying tuition. I think that was it for January. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add about this report. I think Kaito or Rihanna, if everyone is good with it, before I move on to the next one.
You can carry on.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next report that we did and that's the report for February. Um, so the one of the most important thing that we worked on for February was the cafeteria. Um, the cafeteria has been the number one thing that each SGA has struggled with, not just our SGA, but SGAs way before us. They've also struggled with the cafeteria, the prices, the look. And fun fact, the cafeteria has looked the same ever since it was built. It's never changed. So that's a fun fact for you guys. The only thing that is new about the cafeteria is the new cafeteria. The rest of it is the same. The colors of the table. I saw the picture of the cafeteria from the years like 1980 something, and it was the same. I was like, wow, it didn't change at all. And I hope that's something that the next set of SGA can work on. That's kind of changing the furniture that's in the cafeteria. That's way too old. Um, I don't know if the aim was to not make students stay in the cafeteria longer and make the chairs very uncomfortable, but who knows? Probably just gonna hopefully they can deal with that and kind of get that out of the way. And also the prices of the food in the cafeteria. Um, honestly, we try not to go too hard on them after the cafeteria was newly renovated. Um, just try to like give them time to like kind of get into business, get in tune with it, make all the mistakes they could make. I realized they started with like a very small um, menu, and people were complaining like, "You probably need a telescope to see what's on the menu." So then, and now they have like a huge sign, and you can see all of the prices on there, which is kind of you know good in terms of they're adapting to the student body and the request that they might make. Another thing is like I said, the price. If the next SGA set can work on that in terms of having them bring the prices down after a few months of them being in operation, that would be great. Uh, so yeah, we worked on the cafeteria. We had a meeting with Mr. Gerald Frangillo and his team. I think it was Melissa and Dimbella and then Kirkland also attended the meeting, and we talked about like the cafeteria being operational. I know Kaito was there, and I think most of the SGA were there to talk about like the options like kosher, halal, vegan options that you dare add like a few before we even discussed it. Before I move on off of the subject of the new cafeteria, is there like anything that anyone else has to add to it before I go to the next topic?
So the cafeteria? Yes, as Mark said, we did actively try to include the students' demographics when considering food options. We made it a point to consider halal food because we are in a majority Black and Muslim what's it called, society. So it only made sense to highlight the demographic that we are serving. I think that was a very important part in the SGA progress because it would have been easier to just follow the school's demand and just take what the company have wanted. But we made a chance, but we stood and we're like, no, we want to represent our student body and what we know that our student want, not what would generate us the most money or the most approval.
True. Just gonna go on. So, um, hopefully, down the line, the cafeteria kind of make sure that the menu reflects the preferences of the students. Um, and if that's something we can discuss with the next set of SGA members to kind of make sure that, you know, all of the work that we've done doesn't just go in the trash, just because someone doesn't care. Moving on, we had the mid-semester check-in. That was also with then Bello and then Kirkland. I know Mr. Graham was there, and that was on February 15, 2024. It was hosted by the Dean of Student Affairs. And basically, I only shared the upcoming student forum, but there were the mid-semester check-in was just to make sure the students add what they need to move on through the semester, be it tutoring, advisory, financial aid, if you had to withdraw from a class or drop a class. That was basically it for the mid-semester check-in. We also had the interclub council meeting. I know Gus was in charge of that, and I think according to the report, it was 18 out of 36 people, 36 club attended. That's a huge number because usually nobody wants to nobody wants to do anything in Essex. The meeting talked about funding distribution, um, also like communication and event promotion. They also talked about um, discussing international opportunities available at Essex and encouraging students to, email Miss Josie. I think she's from, I don't know, I think an international recruiter. I don't even know how to pronounce the name, but yeah, that just sums it up for ICC. If you want to, yeah, if Gus can talk about it for a few seconds. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Surprise visit. So, at the ICC meeting, that was the first ICC meeting, I
Yes,
believe.
the first
Okay.
one.
So we usually hold it every month. We get all the clubs to get in. I think that was the not the most, I think it was the second most active ICC meeting we had throughout the entire semester. We had, as I think Mark already bring it up, we had Josie. She came in, talked about international opportunities with I think located in Southern America, and she essentially just informed all the club leaders about that so that they can inform their own, the students in their clubs. Um, Moving on from that, we were starting to discuss proposals for clubs, and so that way they can get the stuff that they need for their clubs, and so that way students can enjoy themselves at the clubs that that they're at.
Yep. I think that's it. Thanks,
Yeah, I
Gus.
believe that's it.
All
If you need
right.
me for the next ICC meeting,
Yes, I'll let
I'll
you
be
know.
there.
All right. So moving on, we had food pantry event. That was also with the Dean of Student Affairs, or Office of Student Affairs. We assisted with like hosting, like the Monday morning munchies, Valentine's Day switch shop on the second floor, Dasher room. And then we plan to survey the students regarding the cafeteria and the general experience with the semester, and also to host the firm for March. Um, Moving on, we have our March report. And during the period of late February and early March, we had funding proposals for a few clubs were approved, but I knew we had to reject some of them because they did not meet the criteria for funding proposals. Um, I hope that the next set of SGA can kind of, make it easier for clubs to like access funding. Also like, and if we can find a way to, help the clubs manage their club basically. So rather than each club just having that one person managing the entire club, and once they leave, the entire club like goes into shambles. We should have like a general account that contains information about each club and all that. Um,
Do you mind if I say
yeah,
something?
very
Okay.
sure.
So, ironically, that's what we talked about during the ICC meeting of today, which was about graduating students and the transition to of power, because it can be if clubs aren't prepared for that, it can be very messy getting one club, oh, this person's graduating, um, but this person, they have all the emails, they have all the money. How is that going to transfer over to the next club president that needs to be there? We discussed that, um, as well as we are currently working with the dean, good old Dean Bello. Thank you, Miss Dean Bello, if you're watching. Um, we worked with her, and she's currently coming up with a better way of having each club their own accounts. So that way, whenever the club needs it, they can pull money out of their account easily, more accessible for the stuff that they need, especially if they need it like, I don't know, like in a few days. Whereas if they were to put a proposal form in, it would take so long to get that money to get anything to them. But with the club accounts that she's working on, clubs could just put their money in, and like in a few days, they can get money out and purchase whatever they need for their club.
All right. Thanks,
No
Gus.
problem. No problem.
I think we're gonna talk about that later too, but let's see. All right. Okay, so one other thing was that not we, but we had to do. We had a rep, I think Mamadou told me about a rep from NSB. They wanted Mamadou wanted to establish a NSB association here at Essex. So NSB is basically National Society for Black Engineers. Um, Essex doesn't have a strong engineering like STEM related, especially in engineering, like strong foundation, but it's still, we still have an engineering curriculum, and it would make sense that we have an SB chapter here at Essex, not just BTK and NSLS. So NSB is basically an honor society for Black engineers. It makes it easier to access internships and job opportunities even after you graduate. So we during the summer, Mamadou and I we're gonna be trying to help, get like the administrative work out of the way, constitution, and also working with other SGA NSB chapters to help, get like paperwork and all that. So most of the work that is required um to bring the chapter to Essex, we've done like we had to pay like a fee for it. So we already did that. Then Kirkland said is willing to cover the cost of bringing a chapter to Essex. That's if we are ready to, because you have to pay a monthly, a yearly fee, and it wouldn't make any sense to pay a yearly fee now that we haven't had the members in the chapter yet. So we decided to hold off on paying the yearly fee until we've done the administrative work, until we've had people in the club, and then we can pay a yearly fee, and it's recognized as an official chapter at Essex. I think it's a good thing for Essex to have an SB chapter. It kind of puts the school in good front where it's easier for students to transfer out because it's it means that the school does care about engineering in general for like engineering students in STEM. We also add a um, Miss Inez. I'm sure you guys, Professor Inez. She had us do a podcast. So we had to invite Miss Loretta Gomez. She's an engineering alum from Essex, to do a podcast and talk to women in STEM and kind of encourage them and kind of talk to her story. I think she's gonna come back to redo it again, but I do not want to be too forward. But we'll see what happens from there. I can't talk about the last podcast.
What are you talking about? And also in regards to club advancement, I think our term as SGA has really tried their hardest since the turn of COVID to try and revive the student population, which I think they have greatly done. We now have the Muslim Student Association with, I think it's the first time ever in the school having one. We now have a better revived Pride Club, which had a different, better Pride organization from the city of Newark come to our school to educate us on Pride clubs. And the other more clubs that I'm just forgetting right now, like Poetry Club, which is a interesting enough kind of involvement duo of literature and Christianity. So it's an interesting place for a niche group of people in our school. And I think our term as sort of diverse for people in SGA, for our personalities, has allowed space for this particular group of clubs to be allowed into this, like to be made into the school to further represent who our student population is.
Also, sorry not to cut anybody off because she forgot to mention the International Students Club that we also have, because Mark mentioned earlier that there was some like concerns about tuition and stuff for international students. So that also is a place for them to come and voice their concerns and for them to feel like they're a part of a community, because one of the initiative of that club is scholarships and stuff like that for the future ahead. So that is also an option available for them. And I feel like, as Kaito mentioned about the unique set of people that we have in SGA and the contribution towards the school and whatnot, I feel like we all individually have worked, together, but we have managed to bring in different aspects as she said, the Muslim Association that's done by Layla. She's also a part of SGA. All of us have our own endeavors that kind of serve to kind of make Essex a better place or whatnot. But yeah. So if you're an international student, feel free to stop.
Okay, thanks for letting us know about the International Student Club. It's still fairly new, so I don't know. I don't know. Right. Okay, so Interclub Council. I think Gus already mentioned it. This is more like planning for the Denim Day. They talked about upcoming bake sales, Denim Day for April 2nd. We're gonna talk about that later on in the report. And brainstorming ideas on coming up with solutions for clubs to be more productive. Um, I think that is pretty much it for this report. I'm gonna be moving on to the report for April. Let's see. Nice. All right. The April report is pretty long, so bear with me. Um, it's fine. It's fine. All right, good. So on the 2nd of April 2024, we did the Student Government Candidate Forum. It was hosted by Mr. Ott, our advisor. And basically, we just had to talk to students about the SGA, how to be productive in the SGA, what positions they were running for, and, kind of interview them and see if they're good enough to get the job done. Also on Thursday, April 16, I went to West Essex. I and Kaito, we went to represent SGA at West Essex for the Instagram Live event. Um, we had the president of PTK, that's Samiris Catlin, and then Elvi Vieira, and the mayor of West Cadwell, Joe Tempesta. And he kind of spoke about his vision and plan for higher education at West Cadwell during the event. And we had a few clubs present. I think we had the Cheerleaders Club, the Taekwondo Club, the Alpha Club, that's Association of Latino Professionals for America. And they kind of gave this mini performance, and just overall, the aim was to kind of attract newer potential students to Essex and put Essex in kind of good light. It was a promotion event for the West Cadwell campus, and that's if I don't know if anyone has been to that campus, but it's pretty dry. Like it's very dry. But we need students in there, and that was like the way we could show support is by advertising the college, and kind of putting the college out there so people can see it, Instagram and whatnot. Honestly, if they weren't gonna ban TikTok, we would probably have done the TikTok live. Um, but we never know. We never know. Moving on, we had on Wednesday, April 17, 2024. I got this email way before now, and basically it was the president of the SGA. They basically we have to attend this meeting. So all of the president from colleges and university all over New Jersey had to come together to have a meeting about the problems facing community college students as well as university students, and basically um, problem in general with universities and the higher education system. Um, some of the things we talked about, and we had this meeting with the Secretary of Higher Education, Brian Bridges, and we went through mental health, hygiene, food access. Oh, and I thought, and this is kind of funny. It's just like an active right now. It's like I saw a lot of me You know what I thought I was the unique me? I saw a bunch of me's on the screen and we all dressed the same, talked the same. We all wearing glasses. I was like, what is this? So you're gonna meet a lot of people. I thought, which was kind of funny, but it's just something that I wish I could point it out. Like it was fun. We talked about um our budgeting, and there was a question that I posed to him, and basically the question was, if the school gets funding, do they specify what the school can spend the money on? And to me, that's a really interesting question, because the state might be like, well, we're giving the school funding to take care of mental health and food access, and the school can take that money and spend it on line in the pockets of the administration or spend it on something that's totally unrelated to mental health, like mental depression. But I try to make a joke out of it, but it was a serious discussion, and he could, how like politicians cannot answer your questions directly, but I tried to get some answers out of them. And basically, it said the school gets to decide what they do with the funding. They do not specify. So I was like making a suggestion. Well, that's where we need to begin the work, making sure that the school actually spends the money on what they're given the money to do. Because if we give the school money for mental health and that money goes to hiring more security guards, those two things are not the same. So is there a way to make sure that the school keeps to their word and making sure that, they're diligent in actually fixing the issues facing community college? And it's a good thing we have the food pantry. I really do hope that the state does not cut the $20 million funding to community colleges, because we do need it to keep the pantry going. And you'd be surprised, most of the people that you would think are doing well still come to the pantry. So you might see someone as doing well, but they're not necessarily doing well. They do need help. So I think that's something they need to look at, not just assuming that the students are all right and just cutting the funding. So we spoke to him about that. He gave a kind of plain answer, but we did make plans for meeting again in the fall semester. So hopefully we have a student leader at that time. We're still looking to fill out the president and vice president position, but whoever is the president at that time will get to attend the meeting. So now it's not only going to be virtual, it's going to be in person, and you get to talk to them face to face. And there's something that I would like them to visit, is making sure that the school are issuing the appropriate budget to the appropriate department. Um, I think that's pretty much it for the meeting with higher education meeting that we had. Um, Moving on, we also talked. But before I move on, if there's anyone have anything to add about this higher education meeting? No? Okay, good. All right. So we also attended the 55th anniversary gala. It was fun event. I was surprised that, an event could add such coordination. And I could tell that the school actually put in the effort to make sure it was good. Hopefully that effort reflects everywhere else in the school, not just the gala. But I'm not gonna touch that right now because I'm still in the school, so my grades are not out yet. I wouldn't want. But yeah, I spoke to a few students and they were like, wow, the event was great. Like really, like Essex, okay, and we made fun about it in the BOT meeting, board of trustees meeting, and everybody was kind of laughing. It was fun. Everybody kind of get to reap the benefit of their effort. We would like to also thank the school for providing tickets. I did not have $225 to pay for a gala, but they not just SGA, but they invited a couple of athletes totally free, and they also won scholarships. I think the Cadwell University, they gave about three student scholarships, and those scholarships were worth, I think, I don't know, $30,000. I am not sure. It's a ballpark right here. And of all the scholarships that they gave on that day, it all ended up being like $100,000 in scholarship. That's a lot of money for, to go to school for free. So I think that's a really good step in the right direction. Um, I hope to see more energy like that here at Essex, and trying to make the students feel more comfortable. Um, Before I move on to the other activities that we have, it's also important that hopefully if it's something that the next set of, if you're willing to be a student leader, if you're, you know, gonna be an SGA president, vice president, whatever, try to make sure that the school actually puts in the effort to make the SGA feel, attractive and welcome at Essex. Because right now the school might, you know, think, oh, well, we don't need to put in as much effort into the SGA. But in the end, it all comes down to bite them in the back because once the set leaves and you're trying to attract the next set of SGA, it becomes even harder and harder to attract students. So hopefully, if that's something you need to work on, maybe in one of the $20 million budget, they can involve maybe paying the SGA. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. If you do want to pay the SGA, I don't know. Just put in it to $20 million. The old SGA, I'm telling you, would be paid and fed and housed. But anyways, moving on, we had the inner club council meeting. I don't know if Gus wants to talk about that. I think we had the folks from ADAPT. They were there for the meeting too. Um, I'm just gonna go through it before it comes in. So on March 25th, 2024, we had the privilege of hosting Miss Charlene Berry from the Organization of Alcohol and Drug Prevention Abuse. So she spoke about the effect of drug abuse, vaping, smoking on the brain and lungs. I did not know there was a thing such as what's the lung thingy? Um, I don't know. I forgot. It's
Popcorn lung.
yeah, popcorn. Like yeah, I did not know that was a thing. I did not know. That was my first time. I was like, wow, yeah. But she was like, if you should try to reduce it, and if you're addicted, try to supplement it with baby gum, and then from gum, then moving on to water. And the funny thing is most people are like we don't need to drink water. I promise you, I hate drinking water, but there's something that I noticed is whenever I have a bottle of water in my hand, the water ends up disappearing. I don't know. So your body needs the water, but your brain is like, I don't know, I need something sweet like soda or something. So just try to like drink more water or try to, even if you don't feel like drinking water, just having a water bottle encourages you to drink water. So she was speaking about things like that, supplementing your addiction for something else. Um, yeah, and also we had like a quiz. I did not win the gift card. I wish I did. But those Mac Club guys were killing it. They took two gift cards. I was like, what? What? But anyways, we got to talk about like effects of smoking on like in general on the public and school. You kind of forget things more. It's harder for you to remember information in class. That's if you do it, if you overdo it. But she's also saying you might think you're not overdoing it, but at some point you're gonna end up overdoing it. So try to supplement it for something else. Um, anyway, she said she was gonna be coming back later to talk to more at student body. I'm sure not everybody got to see her. It was just the um club leaders, but she would love to attend one of our student forums, and she has this old slide prepared and she can talk about it. I promise you, there'll probably be that one kid vaping in front of her while she's talking about it, but it's totally fine. She can still come in. Um, moving on, we add on April 2nd, 2024, we participated in the Denim Day event in support of Sexual Awareness Month. Um, I was only there to set up. I knew the 360 Art Club stayed longer to like design the clothes and the jackets and all that. Um, on Wednesday, April 10th, we add our Student Fest, um, um, and the clubs got to like be out there. I knew Mr. Art did most of the work. I don't know. I was still alive, like setting up all of those tables and putting all those stuff. Can be me. Anyways, we at the clubs, out there. We had food, water, music club got to play. It was really interesting. Everybody kind of got to sit there and chill. And those are one of the events that I love mostly at Essex, because that was the way I found out about the SGA in the first place. And that was what I did. That was how I got my campaign flyers out there. So the Student Fest is a good thing, and I hope that it keeps going, after our term. Um, During the week of April 15 to April 19, we did the finals week cafe. So Miss Johnson was the host of this event. All I did was post pictures on the app. It was not that, it wasn't that elaborate, basically. Um, um, so basically we uploaded pictures on the school app. Um, and we got responses from the student body, like they were liking the videos. A lot of people came over. They had breakfast items to eat, and it was fun, basically. um so we are kind of going towards the end of the event. Sorry, the report. Right now we are working to get newer members into the SGA. This is something that I think everyone should, most of our focus is on right now. Most of our events are like we are wrapping up everything because we do not want to start something that the next set of SGA won't be able to, complete. So yeah, we're trying to get newer members. I spoke to one of our Professor Inez, and she was happy to have me come to one of her classes tomorrow to kind of talk to students about joining the SGA. So I'm excited to do that. Um, so that's pretty much the end of the report. Does anybody else have anything to add to the report or anything to say, Gus? No? All right.
Yeah. So
Great.
today we had a ICC meeting. I already discussed a little bit about this before, but we're mainly just talking about the club financial records that they're holding, and with how Dean Bella was implementing those the club I said it before, the
Accounts?
put yeah, accounts, thank you. But other than that, we were also just discussing club plans for the future, which clubs are going to be open during the summer, if any at all. Because I know for a lot of clubs, summer is just like a very dry season. It's they don't get many members. But some clubs stay open, like chess club, they're going to be open during the summer, so that's awesome to hear. Um, but with that, I just hope the future SGA vice president loves the clubs as much as I do, and I hope that all the clubs can collaborate together on like super cool events.
Yep.
That's it.
Thanks, Gus. Look at
Goodbye.
that. Yep. So yeah, what's you want to say something? All right, I think we have Kai, so she wants to.
Hello, I'm still in Mark's laptop for now, but speaking of collaboration, my time at SGA has been involved very much with the clubs, even particularly on club advisements. When it comes to the text club, I'm a student advisor for the text club, which is a computer engineering and technology club, which means that I just give the club leaders, I can like help them choose projects on what to do, how to approach your audiences. I also do this for the Pride Club as well, for the Poetry Club, and for other clubs as well. But I don't know the names right now because there's so many of them. But those are the three ones that I mostly do them for. And I like that my time at SGA has got me very, very involved with student body. Because that's taught me that at the end of the day that people are still people. There are going to be problems in the small sectors of the still in the smaller clubs or the big, even well-known clubs. There are going to be problems anywhere, everywhere. So it taught me, you hone my communication skills and I honed my skills to talk to people. So, and I think our time as SGA has been very focused on mental health awareness. I think when was mental health awareness month? Like March? I don't know exactly when it was, but we had like I think two events focused on mental health, and we had these little postcards that would get to students that would give like cheerful words of encouragement or even resources for like suicide prevention or abuse prevention because we just care so much about people's health. Like I even every forum that we or any event that we do the age at the table, I always talk about mental health with the students either way. Because in the day, that's all that matters. If that's done, like then everything is done up. Like you can't do anything else if your mental health is ruined. So I tell students like always focus on your mental health, watch how you're feeling, and don't ever try to suppress it because when you suppress it, it's gonna come back roaring harder than ever. So I think focus mentioned how very focused we were on mental health awareness and suicide prevention, all that stuff. But I'm gonna give Mark a share back.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Skytel, for stealing my spot. It's totally fine. I was gonna go through the slides, but Mr. Wright, is it possible to share the screen or we
Yeah.
can't?
Of course.
All right, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up real quickly. I'm just gonna go through. It's just a few slides that we can use for the student forum. We at our student forum today. Um, Basically, we just have to talk to students about recruiting them, and we talked about what the student government was, the benefits of joining the student government, the impact the student government has both on the student body and in our personal lives, how to get involved in the student government. Um, we talked about what the student government was. It's a student-led organization. It comprises of the student demographic here at Essex. And I think that's the most important part of being in the student government is that you have different um, individuals from different parts of the school, different majors, and they all kind of come together to make a decision. That's what I think it is. Um, we plan events, advocate for students, and organize various initiatives. Benefits of joining the student government. So we have opportunities for leadership. We attended the annual Student Government Association conference in DC, and we got to learn from ex professionals in the field of governing, and they taught us about skills on how to be a better student leader, how to diffuse conflicts, how to be more communicative. Um, the SGA not just being in the SGA develops your leadership skill, and leadership is one of the things that most um, employers are looking for. If you're trying to apply for internships, that's the number one thing that they go through, your leadership skill. If you're trying to apply for scholarships, they always ask for leadership skill. Um, in the process of applying for the Jack James Cook Scholarship, that was the number one thing they were asking for. You being a leader. When they ask you to write an essay, they're asking about times where you've compromised and sacrificed your comfort for other people's gain. That's what being a leader is. Um, Being a leader doesn't mean you're going to be happy all the time and get to call other shots. There are going to be times where basically you're just sitting there and trying to satisfy your team. Voice and representation. So we as SGA is to voice our concerns and represent our students. We advocate for them. I talked about the cafeteria the last time. That was one of the instances of the SGA exercising its powers. Personal growth. once you leave outside of Essex, most people underrate the benefit of how much confidence the SGA gives to you. Um, the teamwork and communication skill. People are going to be like, oh, once I leave Essex, I'm going to figure it out. Well, you have to start now, because you're going to think you're going to figure it out until you're 50 and you can't figure it out anymore. Moving on, we have the impact of the student government. So we had a couple of initiatives that we talked about in the report that I gave, and real life accomplishments. Our parliamentarian, Zachary Miller, is now attending Cornell. Most of the things that you see, um, it was part of the text club, it was part of SGA. There are a couple of things that he did that made him a good candidate to get into an Ivy League. And once you look at all of those activities, all it boils down to is he was a leader right there and he acted pretty good during his leadership term. Moving on, we have the how to get involved in the SGA. So if you are planning to run for SGA, we went through the nomination process already, but it's not too late. You can always end up joining later on. You can send in an email or submit, fill out the form and give it to us in our office so we can put your name in for the candidates. Campaign strategies. When I ran for the SGA, I was actually working at a hotel and I would go on the hotel computer and start editing the flyers. That was crazy, right? And I was and I would ask my bosses like, "Oh, what do you think of this flyer?" And I was surprised they didn't fire me on the spot, but whatever. I still did the flyers and I gave them out during the student fest, and that was something, um, you know, an experience that I can never, forget. And voting procedures. For voting, they're going to be talking about they're going to send out QR codes to the student body. I know, Mr. Ron, you were like part of the last voting procedure. If you want to like talk about the process of, them getting notified, I think each people get to vote and type in your name and it kind of, if you do want to talk about that.
I mean, basically, the election happens. Everybody gets a chance to vote virtually. All the votes are tallied. The results are then kept secret until, I'm going to say, the end of the academic fiscal year, which is June. And then come July, we notify all the winners who have won through email. And then we have an induction ceremony for you in July of 2024. That's basically it.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Rod. So the positions that we have open right now, the president, vice president, basically all the positions. So if you are interested in being a part of the SGA, please run now before, all the positions are taken over. Um, we did the Q&A. I am sure nobody asked questions, but if you do have any questions, you can send us an email at sga@essex.edu if you want to run for SGA or you have any questions about running for SGA. We also have our advisor, Mr. Ott. His email is right underneath there. I'm sure everybody can see it. Um, Moving on, call to action. So be the change you wish you want to see in your community. Join the student council. If you want to make a lasting impact on Essex County Community College, please, this is your chance to do so. So if you're watching this right now, please go on there, send in that email, try to be a leader now so you can always make the change that you want to see. Thank you guys for listening. That's pretty much it. I think this wraps up the report from my end. Mr. Art, you can take over.
All right, folks, that was an entire year's worth of Student Government Association. As you can see, it is not as shiny as it may look through the window. It is a lot of hard work and there's a lot of dedication and a lot of intrusiveness into your personal life and your schoolwork as well. That being said, it can be very rewarding and you can get a lot of done for your fellow students. This administration went through a lot with their forums, with their proposed amendments, the Constitution, the cafeteria reform, the funding distribution. We had a lot of clubs they had to deal with. Dealing with people is one of the hardest things to do in life. So you guys got a huge dose of that this past year. I commend you all. You all did fantastic. I wish you all well. And if you're interested in running for Student Government Association, please send an email out to SGA at Essex or ja@essex.edu. We will do all that we can to help you out and get you campaigning, get your name out there. If you care about your fellow students and you want to see a change, feel free to join the student government and follow in these awesome people's footsteps. And I'm sure that you will be able to continue on the great work that they were doing. We hope that you and your families are doing well during this time. Please stay cool and stay healthy, and we will catch you next time. Until then, take care.